Hey everybody, this is a walkthrough video of my DFAM patch called Shadow Current. This is kind of like a techno, buzzy, it has a little bit of a sequence in it. There's a lot going on here. There's 4 different patch pairings, which I'm going to go through each one. This right here is the settings the exact same settings that are in the patch book. And let's hear what it sounds like. I'm going to walk through each part of the DFAM and we'll get to the patches in a second. The sequence that I have here, you could easily go in and change things as you wish. I tried to have it kind of move forward and then backwards on the pitch, a little bit of a pattern in the velocity. But I wanted to have it very widely, so it goes down from 9 o'clock all the way over to 3 o'clock, and there's just a lot of different things happening in here. With the oscillators, I have the first one just slightly down tuned from 12 o'clock and the second oscillator slightly up tuned. What I think is interesting about this is that the first oscillator I have as a positive envelope and the second oscillator I have as a negative envelope. With the VCO decay turned all the way down like it is at the beginning, it doesn't really much matter. But as you turn this up, if you watched my video series, I explained how these envelopes work. And so because they are in 2 different directions, they're going to kind of interact in opposite ways, which I think makes things really interesting, especially since we have the hard sync on and a little bit of frequency modulation. The pitch is only affecting VCO2. So VCO1 is going to kind of hold down the fort with just the rhythmical pattern, and all of that buzzy sequency stuff is happening with VCO2. I have it set to triangle waves. You could certainly change it and put it on pulse waves. To me, that felt really too aggressive, and I thought it was already aggressive the way it was. Noise, I have both VCOs turned up. That's obviously taste as well. The noise is one, when I get to show you how you can play this in real time, that's something that I think, definitely get in there during a performance and turn it up and down. I like this patch also because it's set to a high pass filter, which I tend to want to go to low pass when I'm making patches. And so when I settled on one that was a high patch, to me it just made this one stick out as a little bit different than what I'm used to. It also offers some playability functions to make these cool sweeps where the bass leaves, but you can still hear the rhythmical pattern going on, and then you can drop it in later. So I'm going to show you that in a second. Resonance is up a little bit, just so when we do those sweeps, we can hear it. And let's talk about the filter, envelope, and decay. This one's also set to negative. The reason I set it to negative was because it is a high pass filter, and when it's set to negative, the filter kind of sweeps in the opposite direction. With the VCO decay so short, the envelope doesn't really have much of an effect, but if you want to really get crazy with the sounds and open up the filter decay, I thought that the negative amount envelope was really cool. But that's something too, if you want to change the sound a little bit, think about putting this in a positive direction. The VCF noise mod is turned down right now. We are plugged into the mod through our velocity. So if we want to turn that up later, that will affect our cutoff. So let's talk about the patch points. So this VCF envelope is also modulating the noise level. So that's where you're going to, if you turn up the noise, so that's where as we go, I'm going to turn this and it will affect the noise level. The VCO envelope is tied to the frequency modulation, so you're going to hear this kind of move a little bit, which changes the timbre of things. Doesn't have too much of an effect since the hard sync's on, but it still kind of creates some interesting things. And lastly, the pitch is attached to the VCO decay. So I'll show you how this impacts the sound when you turn this up. And because we have this such a nice sequence with a lot of variation in the amount of pitch, this can really have a cool effect. All right, so let's go into why these impact the sound. And let's start with this pitch and VCO decay. So with it down so short, these don't really much matter except for you get like a nice hard punch at the beginning. But when you extend this, listen to what happens. Because when the decay is set longer and this is set up, what's basically happening is the frequency is starting higher and coming down. So the more you turn this up, the higher it goes, and the more you turn this up, the longer it takes to get there. And that's why when it's super short, it happens almost instantaneously. And so our pitch, modulating this too, when it kicks up a notch, this is going to just kick this up a notch too. And it only happens for a brief second because then it goes to the next step, but it creates a cool movement. So I'll try unplugging it, see if you can pick it out. I mean, that makes quite a bit of difference. Go back in. Pull it out. Go back in. And that is all just the VCO decay being modulated by these pitches. It just creates so much more movement. It's pretty stagnant. It's very aggressive, but it's stagnant. Awesome. So that's really a big part of this patch. All right, let's talk about the filter envelope going into the noise level. And let's take a listen to what that does. So the amount is negative value, so it's going to lower the noise amount. So watch me pull it out. Suddenly you don't have that much movement. The noise is just kind of going through with the velocity, but it just doesn't have much movement to it. And then when you plug this envelope into it, bam, all of a sudden it's percussive. All right, plug it in. So those two in combo make it really, really percussive with a lot of movement. Let's talk about the blue patch chord. Now that's going from our velocity into our VCF mod. And if you remember from the videos, the noise generation, the VCF mod is hardwired when nothing's patched in here to use the noise generator to modulate the cutoff frequency. So it kind of shakes it and makes it like a fuzzy sound. When something's plugged into there, it cuts that off. And this becomes an attenuator for whatever signal's going in to modulate the cutoff. So right now we have velocity going into it. So what's going to be happening is as you turn this up, this is going to be slowly going like moving up and down the amount of the velocity attenuated through this knob. And as we turn up the cutoff, you'll hear it has a more dramatic effect. So that's what the VCF mod does. This is something that I patched this point in here just because I wanted to have something that was a little bit more playable. So it gives you some more options to change up the timbre as the sequence is going. So some cool ways to mess with the sound a little bit, Besides, of course, just messing with the velocity and the pitch to fit whatever rhythm you're going for. You can change the VCO decay. You can, if you increase the envelope amount, it adds in like laser beam. I would be very subtle with this one, but check it out. The VCF decay makes things a lot more fuzzy. Another great thing that I like to do with high pass filters is to have the bass cut out by turning the cutoff up. You can slowly turn the noise up and then bam, you bring it back down again. It's going to be hard to do without blocking the camera, but I'm going to try and show it to you. Bring the cutoff up. And then you drop the beat. And that is my DFAM patch Shadow Current. I hope you liked this video. If you're interested in more patches like this, check out my Patreon page. I've got an ebook on there. I'm going to update it regularly with more videos like this and more patches. And check out my complete DFAM tutorial. I think that gives a nice overview of the DFAM and should teach you everything that you need to know. Don't forget to subscribe, and I really appreciate comments, so let me know what you think of this video in the comment section. Thanks for watching.